Things I still need to cover about pricing of water and what makes it such a hassle to manage. Water, unlike other necessities, is very hard to transport. Electricity can be brought to areas that have shortages with a simple flip of a button. The transportation of water is very difficult. It needs to be first stored and then shipped by tanker to the area it is needed. These tankers can only carry so much because of the immense weight of water. As I briefly illustrated earlier with the Diamond's paradox, water is vital to us like no other commodity, which causes problems when pricing it because to overprice water would cut off people of lower income from the necessity for their life. Lastly, water is necessary for quality of life. We in North America use water to shower, wash our hands, cook food, wash our cars, and for so much more every day. With limited or no water, our quality of life would drop drastically. Now that you understand all the basics of what I will be talking about, let's get on to the specifics of management. Business can manage more efficiently than any government can. There are many factors that make this so. One of them is the political environment. With politics so polarized, it creates a system where resource management is not the first point of concern. Re-election is, and ultimately this leads to consequences. Businesses have no political game they need to play. All they need to do is operate within margins that allow for profit and have high quality and high satisfaction level for the customer, which means it has an incentive into having high quality facilities and infrastructure. A good example of this comes from a man named Spiller in a paper called Government Opportunism and the Provision of Water. For example, unaccounted water, which is the water that a system loses, reached 50% Honduras, Mexico, and Peru. While in Argentina prior to the privatization of water in Buenos Aires was as high as 60%. In Chile, on the other hand, unaccounted water is much lower, averaging 17% among private companies. Along with lower loss, private infrastructure is more readily maintained. This is because of the political environment, once again, that the politicians have to deal with. The taxpayer is going to want the lowest amount of money for any commodity, the lowest price. This causes prices to go lower because the incentive is to keep the voters happy and be re-elected. This causes government-run agencies to provide the service at below equilibrium price. This eventually leads to the infrastructure to degrade because of the lack of funds and upkeep. To upkeep these systems, taxes have to be raised or the price of water must be raised. Both of these are not favorable for the politicians and their campaign and are not done even if necessary because of the campaign. A private company, on the other hand, will make a bigger profit on the sales of water. And even though their slightly higher prices seem bad, the private company will have more money allotted to the upkeep of their infrastructure, which would allow for maximum quality for the consumer. The revenue from the sales of companies would allow them to hire locally, which would help local economies. Though governments do pay employees from local districts, their lower revenue has caused them for the need for downsizing, which we would experience during a recession. That's all I have so far.